broker with eXp Realty and book author of the book coming out called Cloud Agent. And I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing Ms. Lori Ballen today. Lori Ballen is a mega agent with an award-winning real estate team in Las Vegas called the Ballen Group at Keller Williams Realty Las Vegas. Lori and her husband, Richard Ballen, have owned multiple successful businesses based on her internet marketing strategy, which is now called the Ballen Method. Lori and Richard now travel and train business professionals on her real estate SEO and business SEO methods, which include identifying a niche, finding a target audience, creating a message and a product, and then using blogging, press releases, social media, classified ads, video, and fresh, relevant website content with disciplined consistency in order to dominate the search engines for desired search keyword strings. The Ballen Group has closed over 100 transactions each year for the last 4 years straight. They're in the top 1% of all realtors in Nevada and top 5% of Keller Williams. Wow, you guys are busy.
Yes, keeps us busy.
Right. Lori, how did you get started with tech and SEO and social media and all that stuff?
You know, as a child, I was drawn to computers. I wouldn't say in the geeky computer scientist kind of way, more as in just what could I get them to do? And so, you know, learning basic programming in school and things like that. When AOL came out, though, in the early 1990s, I was instantly drawn, just fascinated by this ability to connect with other people. And I've always been one that's drawn to attracting a large audience by providing value and connecting with them. And technology just gave me, or before AOL, it was fax machines, you know, creating a flyer and just faxing all of my clients all night long, all day long. Before faxes, it was direct mail, which wasn't technology. It was just marketing. So when technology came into play and gave me the ability to get my message out to more people faster, I just drew right to it and just got all over it.
Right. When did you start in real estate?
We started in real estate, technically, it was 2007 is when I officially got my license. And we spent a few years over at one brokerage, kind of fighting the model. And we were the top agents of the company, but it was a challenge to get profitable. So in 2010, we came over to Keller Williams, basically started from scratch. We had no team, no database, no money. So we really count 2010, but I was licensed in 2007.
Okay, but you go back to technology to the 1990s when AOL came out and fax machines and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we had a catering and entertainment company. That was our business then. So my husband and I had the top catering party planning company in Las Vegas. So we did all the big company picnics for the hotels. We would feed 10,000 people and we did all the big weddings and had a wedding facility. So we were using technology then.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. But so you kind of got into technology first before real estate. So you already had like some tech chops and tech skills under your belt before you really started getting involved with real estate. I guess you just multiplied that and leveraged that knowledge into what you do now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we already were the top ranking party planning, magicians, mimes, anything you would look up, balloon animals, birthday parties. We had #1 on page 1 for everything. And that's where all of our business primarily came from at that time, between that, fax machines and direct mail. And so I'd already learned all of that. And I just brought that over into real estate. It's learning a new product and a new audience, but it's the same methodology.
Right. Well, that's great. So what should agents be focusing on in your opinion, like SEO or social media? I mean, there's so much information out there. It's really easy, even for an experienced guy like me, to get kind of lost in all the different, methodologies and things that agents can spend their time and money on. What is your suggestion for that?
My suggestion is it's going to be different for each individual. I'm a digital strategist, so I specialize in all things that would be technology-based marketing, but search and social have really connected in such a way in 2015 that it's hard to do search without social anymore. They're so integrated, but yet you could do social at a very high level and never touch SEO and do a very large business now off of social media. So I think it depends on the person. Where's their skill set? Have they got a team? Have they got administrative help? Is it just them? SEO is a good year of 2 to 3 hours a day of really diligent working to see a payoff in SEO. It's long term. However, that long term, now it's organic. We're not paying for traffic anymore, and we're getting all of this business continuously as long as we feed it. Where social, I can generate business today. I can get a referral today, or I can do a pay-per-click and get a listing today. It's more instant, but the second I stop feeding it, it goes away. So it depends on the person and how much time they can put into it, and if they've got a lot of money to throw at it, or they want to build it organically.
Right, right. Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to interview, because I think a lot of agents, myself included, don't know as much about SEO. I mean, there's, only 1,000 things we need to know and do in the real estate industry, as you know. And I think SEO just kind of, a lot of people just say, oh God, it's too much. It's too tough.
Well, and there is something to that. I mean, in 2015, it is just not the same world it was. In 2012, you could write a 300-word blog post and you could have some, trade off some backlinks or pay for some backlinks, and you were on page 1 of Google at the top. It's not like that anymore. Now it's value and content and mobile friendly and page speed and user interface and all of these new things that go into it. It is challenging. That being said, I also believe it's something that every single person can do if they have the discipline or the desire or the money to have somebody on their team do it for them. But luckily for me, there aren't that many getting into it, and that's why there's an advantage that I'm able to have. But I do believe that there is something that everybody can do, even at a small level.
Right. I have a lot of social media, of course, and I do, what is it called? Google Places and things like that. I mean, I'm not an expert at this like you, but the weird thing is I got I wouldn't say my first listing, but my first listing in a while from somebody who did a Google search and my name popped up. But the funny thing is both my client and I could not replicate that Google search to make me pop up again.
Well, you know why that is?
No.
Okay, so here's what's fascinating. In the near future, it's already happening. We will no longer see the same results on Google. You will see different results than I see. Somebody in California will see different results than somebody in Indiana. Google is learning our behavior. They're learning the user and our habits and our searches and our locality, and they're changing the results based on what sites we visited before, what they believe our intent of the search was. So we see completely different things. I had that this morning where I was training. I train a team of people on SEO, and I was using somebody as an example, and we pulled up her rankings, and it very clearly said she has the #1 search term on average for a particular local community. Yet when I pulled it up, she was on page 2, but several other people pulled it up and she was on page 1. It has to do if we're logged into Google, if we've been to that website before, if Google thinks we know somebody else that knows that person. So it's just fascinating how much search is changing based on Google getting in our brains, learning what our intent is.
Right. Well, the funny thing is, my seller Googled me from Spain. And
there you go.
and she says she remembers typing in. I work in a suburb. Well, I live in a suburb of LA called Westchester, near the LAX airport. And she Googled Westchester commercial brokers because she wanted to list a teardown. Well, it was a development lot with a teardown boarded up vacant house. And she Googled it, Westchester commercial brokers. I came up, but I tried and tried and tried. I could never get myself to come up doing those search terms or a variation of those search terms. So now I understand, because everybody, the results are, I didn't know that. The results are different for every person.
Well, that's why analytics are so important. The Google Analytics and some of the tools that we use I use SEMrush as another great tool I use, and it'll tell me the average ranking. So out of all the people in the world that have searched this term, you average this ranking, but it will be different depending on the person. And I was explaining earlier today that it's interesting because I teach hyper local marketing, so I'm very, very diligent about writing about my local community, not real estate related, just general information. For example, all of us out here in Las Vegas are really suffering from allergies. So I wrote an article about allergies, what's blooming, what's causing the allergies, and what local allergy doctors there are that we can all go to, that kind of thing. Well, if somebody in Vegas Googles something for allergies, they find me, which they will, and they do, and they visit that website, the next time they visit, they've searched something about Las Vegas or they search something about real estate, Google is more likely now to show them my website on page 1 or at the top of page 1 because they've already been to my website once before. So this relationship gets created, and the more that person hits my website or lands on an article or clicks a link, the higher up on the rankings I move for everything else. It's amazing.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And how did you, I mean, is this something you're studying all the time, or you're following and reading other people that are doing this, or this is just kind of something that you learned on your own? Or, I mean, because this is a lot of knowledge. I mean, this is deep. I mean, it seems like it's more than the average real estate brokers can really comprehend. I mean, what do you think?
It is my specialty. So I would say, I wouldn't say SEO is, I mean, it is one of my specialties, but it's more marketing and finding an audience and targeting, and SEO is rewarded. We are rewarded in the search engine rankings when we provide this value. So my learning all came from when AOL came out. There was nobody teaching this stuff. It was brand new to all of us. So I would just test and measure what works. And I started learning what a search engine is and what happens if somebody finds me through a search engine, and just finding out what works and doing more of it. Now for the last 4 or 5 years, I study the top SEO guys that have these huge SEO companies and Rand Fishkin with Moz and all of these well-knowns. And what I actually do every day, it's hilarious, but when I'm getting ready for work, it takes me forever to do my makeup and hair. So I turn on a YouTube video, and while I'm getting ready every morning, I watch what's the newest thing. What are they predicting? What's the latest trend? What did somebody find? And then I go out and test and measure, and how does that play out in the real estate world? And how does that work for us? And then I go forward and teach real estate agents how we use that same thing now in our market.
Yeah, that reminds me. I'm constantly reading books on my Kindle, on my phone, and watching YouTube videos and, web blogs and articles online and stuff like that, because you really have to stay up on things with not only in just, technology, but real estate and business and politics and everything like that. So I'm like you. If I'm waiting at line in Chipotle or whatever, and I got 5 minutes, I'm reading my iPhone for the latest book that I got. Speaking of books, because I'm asking everybody this, what are some of the top couple of books you recommend to people, whether it's mindset or real estate or business? I'm always curious what people are reading. What's really on your list right now? My
library is primarily marketing books, so anything by Seth Godin. I'm a big Seth Godin fan. I love Tipping Point, Positioning. I forget the authors. I'm really bad about that. Positioning was another good one. And then I'm obsessed with books that teach me how to scale a business. So, and I'm going to draw a blank. I just read 3 in a row on scaling and leadership. So anything by John Maxwell, Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, of course, I've read 26 times. So I've got I do a lot of books on tape and audio and listening to, I'm on airplanes all the time. So I'm constantly reading and listening to that kind of thing. So leadership, marketing, and business profits and scaling and team building kind of stuff.
Right. You're not reading fluffy novels, I take it.
Oh, no. No. As a teenager, I did, but not anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's I hardly watch any TV. I just YouTube videos, books. I always read your website. I was on your Facebook page. That's how I learned about you. Your Facebook page. I think it was 43 things that. Tell me, what's it called? 43
lessons I wish I would have learned in real estate school.
I thought that was a brilliant post. I saw it on Facebook, and I just started going to your website and watching your videos and stuff. And I go, wow, this gal is really, really sharp. I gotta meet her and hopefully interview her if she's got some time. But yeah, it's really. I mean, I was on your. By the way, you got a couple of websites. You have the. Let me see, the Ballen method. Is that correct? Let me see.
Yep. The Ballen method, BallenAcademy.com.
Okay. Yeah, the Ballen method, and then LoriBallen.com.
Yep. We have several. Ballen Academy is our newest. What we're doing, the Ballen method was a training system that I built. I would travel and teach people how to do this, but in a 4 to 7 hour class, there's only so much they're going to retain. And so they would ask me for how do we take this home and learn? And so I built the Ballen method training system around, here's how to do press releases, here's how to do blog posts, here's how to do this. Well, then I realized I didn't have enough of a learning path. the system was always great for learning, but you kind of had to just read the ebook and watch the videos. Well, now in the Academy, it's broken down by courses, and there's quizzes and a lot more examples. And so we've just kind of taken it over to a higher level.
Right. So, and you're doing, it looks like you're traveling and you're speaking and training. I see you have something coming up in Austin, I believe.
Yeah, we have San Antonio.
San Antonio, excuse me.
San Antonio, and we're doing Simi Valley next month. We usually will do 1 or 2 in a month. And this week I'm doing Vegas right here. I have a very exclusive little hands-on group where they fly to Vegas and spend a few days with me. But yeah, San Antonio and Simi Valley are coming up in July. Right,
and you do speaking for other events or other things, keynotes and things like that? Are you doing that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, I just did. We're getting outside of the real estate industry. I'm really focused on getting outside of the real estate industry, but still for the most part, most of my keynotes and everything have been right here in real estate. But we have been crafting our presentations around getting outside of the real estate industry, because I have a passion for business, period. So real estate just happens to be my niche right now.
Right. Well, that's a good way to approach it. I mean, yeah, it's just a niche. Yeah, I know what you mean about getting out of the real estate. I mean, that's why I wrote the book, and I'll be doing speaking and training and stuff like that. And because I have a passion for reading and writing, and I'm like, well, I got to start writing some books. So I took a weekend seminar on how to, publish your first book, and away I went.
Yep.
You got a book, and you got at least a couple, 3 books in you, I'm sure.
I did one. The Ballen method was my first one, and it's funny. I just it was a how-to basically, and then the system was built out of that. So the book was just how to do press releases and how to do this and how to do this. And now I kind of don't have it out there as much because it needs constant updating, right? You write an SEO book, you're in trouble because it changes so fast.
Yeah, well, for my book Cloud Agent, I right up front I say, look, half the stuff I may be talking about is going to be different or change or obsolete, or new tools or new methods are going to come on. So, stay up to date with me on the website, because the book, it'll be revised, of course, but yeah, some of the stuff is just,
Yeah.
Oh, another post I really liked too was it Take Your Leads Back?
GetYourLeadsBack.com. Yep.
Why don't you talk about that? Because I thought that was fascinating.
This is one of my favorite things and favorite discoveries. And now I have a full course around just this one thing. I'm doing that for the first time this year too. So bottom line is I'm not a great numbers person, yet I focus a lot on the numbers. I'm very purposeful about paying attention to the numbers. So we're diligent about our tracking and our spreadsheets and our closings and all of that. Well, I was looking over our closings, and I noticed that we had not closed any transactions from an open house this year. And I thought that was odd, because we used to do quite a bit from open houses. And so, at first I'm like, oh, well, why aren't our agents converting these? They must not be good at converting the phone calls. So then I go look at the phone log and realize we're not getting the phone calls. And it dawned on me.
Wait, from open house or from signs?
I'm sorry, from yard signs. I'm saying open houses. Yard signs, yes.
Yard signs, right.
Yes. So from yard signs. So it used to, we got a ton of those in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. A large part of our business was yard signs. And so I looked at the phone log, and they're not calling anymore. So that led me to go over and pull up my Google Analytics. And one of our top searches now from the keyword data that we can see is addresses of properties. And so what I found was, at least here in Vegas, and in most of the big cities, I'm polling all the realtors, and most of the big cities are agreeing with me, that our sign calls have diminished. They still exist, but they're minuscule. They're just so small. People are now grabbing their mobile device. They don't want to talk to the agent. They just want to find out how many bedrooms it has or what the price is. And so they go in and Google it. Well, unfortunately, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, they all have it locked up. And of course, with Zillow, unless you're paying to be a premier agent, your listings are showing up on there, you're losing your leads to those top agents. And what's worse, many times it's your competitor. It's not even one of the portals. It's just John Smith's realtor at Century 21 who has a more authoritative website than you do. So he shows up for your listing address before you do, and he gets the lead, and you're the one that took the listing. And so this is like my pet project. The one thing that I'm so focused on is, how do we get to the top of the portals? How do we get to the top of the search engines for our own listing address? Most of the time, if you Google any of my addresses, I'm about 5 out of the 10 listings on page 1 of Google are ads that I have posted myself, or blogs that I've written, or my own websites, driving them back to my IDX and to my listings. Zillow's still tough to beat. I can usually beat them for a day or two, and then they take back over. But most of them I can get up there in the top, and I'm watching our analytics, and there's no better proof than to actually see them coming from Googling the address. And now, unfortunately, for the other realtors in my market, I am now that agent that gets their leads for their addresses as well, because my website's more authoritative than theirs is.
Well, real estate's a lot different, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be interesting going forward from here, because there's so many changes coming, and you know, people working in the cloud and cloud offices like the company I work for, and you know what you're talking about with SEO and this kind of search stuff. And I think a lot of agents are just not up to snuff. I mean, I consider myself a pretty tech savvy guy, but I don't have the SEO and knowledge like you have, because you really study this stuff.
Yeah, and what's interesting is none of this is hard. Like I said, I'm not a computer scientist. I don't take computers apart, figure all that out. It's just, to me, it comes to me naturally, so it's just kind of common sense. But when I go out and teach people, look, if you've got a new listing, do what we used to do and market it. You know, how? Well, let's write a blog post about that listing. Let's make sure we have a video about that listing on YouTube titled for that listing. Let's go place some classified ads for that listing. Back in the day, that was a flyer. It was an ad in a newspaper. It was postcards that you handed out. Today, it's all online. So we got to do the same thing. We just have to go do it online. So whether you pay somebody to do it or you do it yourself, getting that marketing out there, first of all, that's the benefit to the seller, right? When we take a listing, is be able to say, look, we're going to get you in front of all these international buyers, and they're Googling from everywhere in other countries. We want them to find your house as well. And the more times your house can be seen, whether it's digitally or physically, the more likely you are to get more offers, and therefore the more likely you are to get a higher price for your house. So we owe that to our seller anyway, but we might as well get our own leads off of that property too, and leverage that lead and bring some buyers in from it. And the only way to do that, this syndication is stealing that from us. So I still say we let them syndicate and let them go to Zillow and let them go to Trulia, but we can get our leads back by climbing those search engines for our own listings.
Got it. So is Zillow, Redfin, is that part of your strategy, marketing and stuff?
No, not really. I mean, we've gone back and forth a little bit. In the early days, we did some Zillow. I've never bought zip codes or any of that, because I really don't need to. We get buyers just by blinking. So I never really found that a necessary part of my strategy, but I'm also not mad at them. I mean, Google's trying to get into the real estate business and trying to buy up the data, and there's even rumors that Google might buy Zillow. It's just they want that data. So I don't go on these like hellion, oh my gosh, we all have to go against them, but I also don't give them my money for the most part either. I can't say we never have, but it's not a big part of our strategy.
Right. Well, I bet. Oh, I know what question I want to ask for. I forget. If somebody's starting out and they want to start blogging, where's the best platform in your opinion? Their own website, their own blog site, Active Rain, or Zillow? What do you recommend?
You know, I always am going to tell people that their own website, their own blog site is going to be the long-term best choice. I personally love WordPress. I'm a big WordPress fan. I think it's pretty easy to get started on. It's not overly expensive or complicated for me anyway. However, SEO takes time, and to get Google rankings, search engine rankings, you have to have an authoritative, trusted site. So in the beginning, I'm a big advocate for also blogging on a site like Active Rain, because if you write a blog post on your WordPress site that's brand new and has no authority, and you write a blog post on Active Rain, your blog post on Active Rain might land on page 1 of Google, where your blog post on WordPress might be hidden. So it might be worth it for a while. I still to this day blog on Active Rain, because I want to keep that juice up there, and I want to keep those links coming back to me. But I also run my own blog sites, of course, in tandem. But I think there's a place for both, or for several.
Okay, so you're going to just replicate your blog posts on different, your website, Active Rain.
Usually, if I have, I don't worry about I mean, as far as the duplicate content issue goes, it's not like if I blog on my own website and on Active Rain and on one other website that I'm going to get dinged or penalized. But Google is going to look at all of them and say, you know what, we want a quality user experience, so we're only going to rank one of these high up on page 1. I don't care if it's my Active Rain post or my realtytimes.com post or my own website. I just want that blog post to rank high on page 1 of the search engine so that I get the traffic back for it. But if I write like 43 lessons, if I write a 8,000 word blog post that is also going to be an ebook, I might take excerpts of it, but I'm not going to copy and paste the whole thing.
Right. You said Realty Times. That's also a good place to blog.
Huge. It's higher ranking than Active Rain right now, and it's free. And I don't know the guys behind it. I have not studied enough to find out. And they're still having some mobile friendly. I'm hoping that they are working on getting their theme more mobile friendly. But every listing address that every listing I get, we put on Realty Times, and the same day it's on page 1 of Google. It's got a lot of authority, and it's all real estate. So the language is all real estate. So Google knows it's about real estate. So it ranks very well.
Well, yeah, it's funny because some of these blog posts, I mean, they really have a long life. I still get called, I sell investment properties. I don't do residential as much, just mainly apartment buildings and development deals. And I did a blog post one time, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and it was about the new smoke detector laws in California. And to this day, I'll get people saying, oh, I read your smoke detector story. Can you recommend somebody that, can help me update my smoke detectors? And I'm like, wow, 3 years.
Oh yeah, if you can hit a high trafficked, low competition keyword phrase that nobody else is talking about, you can own Google for that term for years without ever feeding another thing into it, because it's low competition.
Yeah, and the great thing was that the woman that called me, she's looking for a recommendation to a retrofit guy that could do the new smoke detectors. And oh, by the way, I'm 79 years old and I have this 8-unit apartment building in Santa Monica. And wow. I'm not ready to sell it yet, but the time's coming, and we just had a dialogue about it. And that's, I sell in Santa Monica too. And, I sent her a thank you card, because I send thank you cards like rain, because they're really, really effective, especially with seniors. They love getting thank you cards. Yep. And she got my card and called me back and said, wow, thanks for the card. And, we should probably meet sometime. And, and I said, yeah, let's have a cup of coffee, get to know each other. Because, when the time comes and you want some advice on what to do next, I'm here to help you. Simple.
It's funny. You just nailed SEO. You actually just nailed exactly what I do. It's
really?
Yes. It's about, I will find low competition keywords for my market, for my area, for Las Vegas. Even things like best shows and best places to eat, best fish and chips in Vegas, best whatever. I want to rank for all those terms, because what happens is that's what starts building that relationship. I was showing somebody this morning, my top page on my hyper-local, I have a hyper-local community called Summerlin that I farm in Las Vegas. And my #1 visited page on there is a blog post I did about beauty salons. Where is the best place to get your hair done in Vegas? And I just went into my local Facebook group and I asked everybody who their favorite was. And then I made a list of their favorites and I put them all on a Google map so that they could see where exactly those locations were. And people are coming to me, messaging me, thanking me for this value and thanking me for this blog post and asking me, what can we do in return? And I just simply say, well, if you ever know anybody that needs to buy or sell in Summerlin, Las Vegas, or North Las Vegas, let me know. That's where we serve. And we're getting come list me private messages from this stuff. Well, let me just come.
Wow.
It is unbelievable. And what's cool about that is all that traffic then that comes over from from social, now drives that same blog post up into the search rankings. And now I'll rank on #1 for beauty salons. I am #1 for Las Vegas mechanic, or Las Vegas best mechanic. Oops. Sorry about that. There's my horn. Okay. My email alerts are going off and blowing whistles. Did you hear my cowbell? Did you hear my cowbell? Okay. That's anyway, so it'll rank high on the search engines. And then mechanic. I'm not even a mechanic, but I wrote a blog post called The 37 Most Honest Mechanics in Las Vegas. And I ranked all over page 1 for mechanics. It's one of my highest trafficked keywords. And then I just send them to the mechanics. But it's creating that relationship already by providing value.
This is awesome stuff. And, the audience for this video is real estate agents. So I know that people are going to really, really appreciate, you taking the time to share with us because, agents need this stuff. I mean, it's the technology world is moving so quickly, and it's really easy to just kind of get overwhelmed and what should I do? Where should I start? But I think, blogging the local stuff. I mean, I've heard this in other sources too, that local blogging or hyper local blogging is real important.
It is. And you're right. It's every business. If I were to go out there and teach other businesses in any business, I would tell them the same thing. If you're a dentist, if you're a lawyer, I don't care what you're doing, own the area for your local market, be the expert in your local market, talk about what's happening locally. And as people come in, they're going to see on your website that you're a dentist or you're an attorney or you're whatever, but they're getting all that value from I write about the DMV, I write about the transportation, the time zones, summer camps. I mean, anything to do with Las Vegas that'll be value for the locals.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that real estate agents don't understand or don't realize is that you don't have to be blogging necessarily about real estate stuff. Like you said, your hair salon, your mechanic. I mean, that gives me a great idea to maybe go blog about my favorite pizza joints in Westchester, Culver City area or something.
Do you know that pizza is one of the top search local terms? The word pizza is one of them. So if you can critique pizza, go right.
I can critique pizza.
You can get a lot of traffic from that. Yep.
Right. Wow. It's my brain is just kind of whirring right now with all these ideas and things that I'd like to take advantage of.
Well, here's what's interesting. I'll just share this with you. I personally have not worked with a client in 5 years. I have a team.
I believe it.
Yeah. Well, and so it's really hard for me to write about real estate. That's not my. I have a team that's all out there working real estate, but I'm not working it. But I can write local. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question. Besides the social and marketing and stuff like that, do you guys do direct mail? Do you guys do any phone prospecting? Does your team do any? I'm sure you email to your database.
Mm-hmm. I'm a fanatic about the database. Absolutely. We do some farming, but most of my geographic farming is internet based or internet driven. There's a lot to that, but not as much direct mail anymore. We've got a newspaper that goes out to 7,000 homes in Summerlin. And I now have what we call an inside sales agent. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that term, but it's basically a telemarketer. It's a prospector. And so he's converting inbound leads and he's calling out. So he's been with us now 6 weeks, and it's the first time in our business that we have ever prospected, called out for business. And I think he just got his 13th listing lead, and today he got a one that looks like it should be turning into a listing appointment anytime now this afternoon. So we're now in the prospecting realm, which we never were before.
Yeah, I do as an investment property broker. We do a bit more phone prospecting than I think residential agents, and so it's part of my mix between working my my database and referrals and stuff like that. But prospecting, getting on the phone and calling apartment owners is pretty effective, especially if you do it well and you have a good script and you're comfortable. And then anybody I talk to gets a thank you card. And I've literally gotten listings from. I just closed a deal in Venice, and I called her. I left a message on her machine, and then I sent her a thank you card saying, I called you, and I have a client looking in your neighborhood. If you want to sell, give me a call. And she called me. And she's like, Derrick, I got your phone call, and I just got your thank you card. Wow, that was so nice. Nobody does it anymore. And I go, yeah, well, it's it's what I do. I mean, and then we met, had coffee, listed her place, and sold it for like over $2 million in Venice. So it was like, it's just the thank you card follow up is really, really good.
We actually do. That is the only. I don't think of that as direct mail, but we use send out cards, and we have a very comprehensive. We use Infusionsoft as our database. So I'm a huge card sender. So for example, let's just say somebody sends us a real estate referral. I add one little tag to Infusionsoft, and then the system automatically sends that person a thank you card, and brownies, which is the best brownies you've ever had in your entire life, with me just clicking one button. I have a happy birthday card. I have on social media, if I see somebody had a baby, their dog died, they graduated or retired, or somebody graduated. I have a card for every one of those things. And all I have to do is add a tag to Infusionsoft, and it sends the whole thing. So we spend a couple thousand a month on cards. So we're big on cards too.
You send out cards?
We do.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's
everything's
a good.
Personalized. It's got my handwriting. It's all my signatures. You know, one of the big things we closed 54 real estate referrals last year, 54 homes from agents from referrals from other real estate agents, which is a big business.
Wow.
And it's all from that. So every time I go to a big convention, somebody follows me around with a camera, and now people want to take pictures. In the beginning, we had to like introduce ourselves. Hey, you want to take a picture? And then I would send them the card afterwards with our picture on the front, Photoshop it a little bit. Great to meet you at Mega Camp 2015, or great to meet you at Inman, or whatever it is. And they put that card on their desk, and everybody on the planet sees it. And I have some people that have 5 cards now that I've sent them over the years, all up on there. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big part of our business.
Those referrals from when you're networking with other agents and other conventions and
and we deal with clients. You know, as soon as somebody hires us on the team, they get a greeting card that says, you know, thank you for hiring us. Meet the team. Here's who your TC is. Here's who your listing agent is. Here's who your COO is. Here, you know, just kind of one of those kind of things. And then we have a getting to know you form that we take right when they hire us, and it's got their birthday and their anniversary, and we set those up immediately. So if any time during that transaction or after they have a birthday, or one of their children has a birthday, or there's an anniversary, those cards just go out automatically.
Amazing. That's really an amazing setup. Very impressive. Well, let me ask you this now. So you do training, and I believe you sell ebooks or things on your website too. How can somebody, you know, watching this interview that wants to, you know, not work with you, but have you train them or take webinars, classes? How can people learn about what you do and I guess, you know, hire you?
Ballen Academy is the best go-to place now. I do weekly coaching with a small group. I do one-on-one coaching now for internet marketing and creating an online presence. And then we've got the courses that they can buy, lesson plans individually, or they can subscribe. So there's a full suite of learning and training at the Ballen Academy.
Great. So that's the best place for somebody to go. What is it? The Ballen Academy?
BallenAcademy.com.
Great. Great. Well, listen, I know time's getting short here, so I want to wrap it up, but it's been an amazing interview and great to get to know you. And this is the first time we ever talk, but like I said, my head's buzzing with all these ideas, you know, on blogging and stuff like that. So I want to thank you again. And now how can, obviously besides the Ballen method, how can people contact you?
Lori at LoriBallen.com is email, or they can find me on Facebook. Lori Ballen Method is my Facebook page, Lori Ballen Method. And I'm always on Facebook. So Facebook or email. I don't pick up the phone. I don't do phones at all, but Facebook and email, we're good.
Yeah, a lot of people, I needed to talk to Jeff today. I thought maybe he was one of those millennials that don't like to do anything but text and email, but he did call me.
Yeah, he'd prefer probably not to pick up a phone either, but he will quicker than I will.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely a trend with especially younger people not wanting to do email or excuse me, not wanting to do the phone. I just had a closing that I had to deal with 4 tenants, and they just refused to pick up the phone, and I needed to really work some things out. And it was such a pain in the butt because they would only email or text me. And I'm like, guys, come on, get it together. You know, pick up the phone once in a while. We know that we got a closing, and we got to figure out what we're doing with your stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
My husband is always going, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. You guys can get so much more accomplished if you would just pick up the phone. He prefers the phone, my husband does, but he's, you know, all the different generations.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, Lori, I want to thank you very much. I know the real estate audience that's going to watch this video is going to get a ton of stuff out of this, and I'm sure a lot of people will follow you on Facebook and find out, you know, if you're ever going to be in their town. I know you're coming to Texas. San Antonio, you said?
San Antonio.
Yeah, okay. What's the date of that?
I don't know. It's in July. I just jump on the plane. They just tell me where to go and when to be there. When is San Antonio? July 9th.
July 9th, 2015. Okay, well, this will be old information after that day, but that's okay.
If they go to my websites, though, Ballen Academy, they're going to see all the live events coming up.
Great. Well, everybody, thank you very much for watching this video, this amazing interview with Lori Ballen from the Ballen Method. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I know we'll be in touch in the future with other stuff. And again, thank you very much, because the information you presented today was just spot on, and I think a lot of people are going to really appreciate it.
Good. Thank you for having me, Derrick. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right, everybody. This is Derrick Ruiz, eXp Realty and author of Cloud Agent. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.